A lot of people who are giving information do not know what it is truly like to be overweight or to be over 300 pounds. They don't realize that just following a plan, eating less, trying to move more, or eating healthy foods, that's the last thing that you want to do in that situation. For me, I wanted to eat this amazing, delicious meal because I knew that if I ate that, that all my problems would disappear for those 15 minutes. I would zone out and forget about it. And ultimately, being overweight is a symptom. It is not a root cause. The root cause is going to be something internal that it's causing things to happen. And in myself and the people I've worked with, I've come to realize that it's a few different things. It's going to be your mental health, meaning your depression, your anxiety. It's going to be your stress levels, and it's going to be what are you holding on to in the past that you cannot let go of that's stopping you from being the person you want to be, from having the lean physique that you desire. In order to change here, start with small common sense behaviors. You don't need to go on a crazy fasting diet like I've done or go on these stupid hardcore discipline things. Make small adjustments. Begin with maybe a little bit of meditation. Take a walk every day, or maybe just choose one healthier thing to eat. These small little decisions are going to be very impactful. And when you begin to ask yourself the question, what is holding me back from where I want to be? What am I holding on to that is stopping me from being lean? And that fat is stored energy. And if you're holding on to energy in here that you can't let go and forgive of, how do you expect to lose the weight and keep it off? As you begin to make these small adjustments, you're now going to initiate yourself into a better level of mind. You're going to have more capability to see beyond the guilt and shame that you reside in. And that's the second lesson, is that you're one decision away from making all this stick and breaking through and changing every single habit that it takes. For most people, it's going to be a very painful thing. It's going to be some type of trauma. It's going to be maybe you're getting your heart broken. Maybe it is going through a health scare, divorce. And that's the reality of it. You're going to be very sick and tired of where you want to be. You're going to be tired of the self-doubt and the insecurity. And you're going to say no more. You're going to say, I'm ready to change. And a lot of the times people will say that, like, oh, it starts tomorrow. But when you make this decision after initiating yourself, you make it with such a powerful level of emotion that it's like overnight you change and everything's different in your life. That's what happened to me. I ended up losing 60 pounds in 6 months, and I kept all that weight off for good because I made that decision and I meant it this time. What happens is that when you're overweight, you're in such guilt and shame, and you stay there. And when you make this crazy decision and you're like, I'm angry at my life, anger is very powerful. And you say, I want to be better. I desire more. Desire is very powerful as well. It's much stronger than guilt and shame. When you move into that state, you are now given the opportunity to change your whole entire identity and the habits that you have that have kept you fat for forever. That is the most powerful way to change. And once you realize that and come to it, it's as if all those habits meant nothing and you just become a different person. I don't know what to tell you. It just comes around. And this leads me to the third thing. The plan that you take to do this is going to decide or dictate if you're going to keep it off for good or if you need to diet over and over again. And the third thing is that hormones matter, and the method of weight loss is very critical. If you decide to fast, if you decide to do keto, if you decide to do very low calorie diets, or if you decide to take the jab that people are doing now, you're not going to be building the behaviors that keep you at a healthy body weight. It's a temporary solution, and a lot of people do this because it feels very good in the beginning. For the first few days to the first few months or even years, you're going to be in this catecholamine honeymoon. Your stress hormones are going to be very amped up. You're going to have a lot of cortisol and adrenaline pumping through you, and it feels very, very good. You become very focused, and you can focus on one thing at all the time. You're like laser locked in, like you're on a hunt. And this is all good. This is good and all for very short-term survival, but if you do this too long, you're going to hit a big crash because you're drawing energy away from your body and you're not producing it in a way. When you decide to diet, it's going to be very important to lose it in the healthiest way possible. This means that you focus on the right foods: beef, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, seafood, dairy, and you make that the bulk of your diet, and you don't go to these major extremes or major lows to lose the weight and then you end up going this crazy bulk, and it's just binge eating in disguise. Focus on the right food, and you'll notice that if you just naturally eat a little bit less with that, or a little bit more, you achieve that energy deficit in a much better way. And this keeps your hormones in balance. Specifically, it's going to keep your leptin balanced, your T3, your thyroid hormone. These ones are very important for your energy expenditure, how much you can burn at rest, and how much food you have, your appetite control. When those are in place, life becomes a lot easier, and you're no longer going to be fighting your body in order to lose the weight and keep it off. And that's the last thing of how do you do this? I've come to see that when you put yourself in this box, a very low calorie diet, and tracking every morsel, every calorie, you begin to have a mindset that food is very scarce, and that if you're off track a little bit, even untracked meal, or you have a very stressful day, you ultimately are going to binge, and it's going to be nasty. You're going to eat a lot of food. And that's not the way that we should be living. I think that you should learn the rules of the game, figure out what your energy deficit is, your calorie deficit, figure out how to weigh your food, what a proper portion control is, and how to weigh yourself. Learn the rules of the game, and then forget about them. Naturally, you're not going to have this scarcity mentality around it, and now you're going to move to a state of abundance. You're going to think that I can eat as much food as I want to. But in reality, you're not going to eat that much food because you have a different mind. You're not thinking that it's like, I need to eat every single morsel on my plate. You're like, I have plenty of food, I can eat later. Some days you're going to be eating less, some days you're going to be eating more. But if you're operating with whole foods, this cannot work with processed foods and processed junk. I'll go over that in a future video. Focusing on micronutrients first over your macros. Focusing on eating protein first. These things are very important to control and be able to follow this model. When you are following this, you want to keep in mind that you are going to be focusing on your health and your energy and your vitality over how you're looking in the mirror. For most people, they are not going to be looking like the shredded influencers online, because being shredded sucks. It is pretty miserable. You can ask any of them. And ultimately, they're going to end up finding exogenous ways to support that feeling of being in a really energy deficit state. Focus on the energy and the health and the vitality, and as a byproduct, you'll naturally get the physique that you desire. This is ultimately the way that I found that I can bust out of the dieting cycle, that I no longer want to have to go through these binges. I want to maintain a healthy body weight for me, and I want to focus on getting stronger long term. Focus on the muscle mass, and everything else will sort of come into balance. This is what's worked for me, and I think that if you can apply this to your life and you figure out ultimately what the mind is that's keeping you from being the lean physique that you want, you will get where you want to go. That's it for this video. Stay tuned for future ones, and I will break down all these things in detail. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see you.